Hey everybody, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Liza. I'm a holistic health coach, and today I want to talk to you about the rise in the health space of a toxic mindset and talk to you about different characteristics of this mindset and then also go through what a better mindset would look like. So let's get into it. Diving right in, I think there's been a shift in the way that holistic health is viewed in the past 5 to 10 years, with just a lot more ideas being considered mainstream and accepted, and then also a lot of topics that were once considered taboo are also being more accepted, which I think is definitely great, and I love seeing all the discussions and just more people waking up to these ideas and really trying to implement these habits in their life. But with the rise in popularity and just an increase in trends, and definitely a lot to do with social media, I think that we can also start to see a rise in this toxic, healthy mindset because there is so much content about really extreme diets or extreme ways to live and really popular posts that say things you should buy, things you shouldn't buy. This is exactly what kind of product you need to have in your house. Very much clickbaity or sales pitchy ideas that can really make you seem like you need to buy into this or you're missing out and you're not going to be healthy unless you have this certain product or you follow this certain diet. And that can just be really toxic to your mindset because at first it actually feels really gratifying to be like, okay, there is a clear cut of things that I should be avoiding and certain things that are good for me. It feels nice to have that kind of list, but over time you start to become more rigid in your routines and what you allow in your household or on your plate, and fear can start to creep in. You might think, well, what if I miss taking one of my supplements? Then I'm going to be sick, or all of my health progress is going to be lost. Or if I don't buy this one product that this influencer is saying I need to buy, I'm not going to be healthy. And then maybe you do buy the product or you take the supplements, and then you hear another influencer say that you need this supplement or this product. So you abandon the one that you were trying before in hopes that this new one will cure all of your problems and fix you, which is a really toxic place to be in, where you are outsourcing your health to other people and a list of products that are somehow going to be like a magic pill, when in reality that is not how healing works, and that can actually be really detrimental to your health journey. So those thoughts are stemming from a fear-based mindset where, like I just said, you're outsourcing your health to people or products. Instead, what you should be going through in your mind is evaluating that information, seeing if it rings true with you and where you're at on your health journey, thinking about what the agenda is behind the person who is promoting that product. Are they getting monetary gain from it? I'm not saying that inherently is bad either. Of course, that can be a great thing, but just think about their motives behind pushing that product. And then ultimately deciding if that is something that you need to do and really thinking through why it is that you want to buy it. Do you want to buy it just because you're hoping that it will fix all of your problems? Are you going to actually implement it into your health goals, or are you going to be overwhelmed by just having another thing in your routine? We live in an age where our attention is a commodity and everyone is clamoring for it. And we are made to think that all of these products are something that we need and they're going to fix us. And that the longer our health routines are, the more biohacking we have in our routines, the healthier we're going to be. But I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. Less is more. Health is about freedom, not fear. And it's about vitality and not having to biohack your way and do a lot of these artificial routines that are actually pulling you further away from true health, which is about living the life that God has given to you, taking care of the vessel that He has created, and understanding that our bodies are resilient. When we choose to subscribe to the fear-based model of thinking, we become shells of what God has created us to be. We become rigid in our routines, lashing out or getting stressed out when we have to deviate from the plans that we put in place. This might look like saying no to eating out with friends because you swore off seed oils forever. Or maybe it looks like you bringing your own soap to your friend's house because you know that Bath & Body Works soap is terrible because it has a ton of endocrine disrupting chemicals in there. And no, I'm not bashing anyone who has a serious allergy and needs to really carefully think about what products they use and say no to some things sometimes. But what I'm talking about is those of us who approach it from a black and white perspective of this thing is bad, I need to avoid it always, and these things are good and I need to incorporate them always. And this starts to tie into operating from a standpoint of needing to be in control and controlling every single thing in our environment, which is just not possible and can make us more stressed out. This can look like thinking that if we have to deviate from our plans, our body is going to fall apart and our health is going to collapse, and we're never going to be able to recover. But what this is signaling to your brain is that you are not adaptable, and that if we don't do things the healthy way, our body won't be able to cope with it or adapt to it, which is untrue. Our bodies and our brains are specifically designed by God to be adaptable, and they can handle bad things. So those seed oils in the fries that you had at dinner with your friends, you're gonna be okay. Washing your hands with Bath & Body Works soap once in a while, you're gonna be okay. God created our bodies with such intricate detail, and there are detox protocols in place. There are certain organs that can help get rid of these things, and He has made them adaptable so that we can handle things in moderation, because He knows that we don't live in a perfect world and we're not going to be perfect all the time. And no, it's not wrong to care about your health and try to prioritize having good products in your household and eating good quality foods. But we need to come to terms with the fact that we are not perfect, and instead embracing the idea that just doing the best with what we can where we are is actually going to have more of a positive impact on our health than striving for perfection. And being continually stressed out about your health can actually lead to you feeling worse. Maybe you find that you're doing all the right things. You're working out, you're eating whole foods, you're trying to do some different biohacking things like using a red light panel, but you find that you're still holding on to weight. Your mindset might actually be playing a bigger role in this than you might think, because maybe you're approaching eating whole foods with a thought like, oh, I really hate this meal, I have to have it again. I've had it 4 times this week and I'm only doing this because I hate the person in the mirror. That is not sending a good signal to your body about wanting to lose weight. It doesn't feel safe enough because there's so many conflicting thoughts behind the actions that you're doing. It's not helping your body feel safe enough to release those feelings, and in conjunction with that, body weight. Plus, with all the stress you're feeling, we know from my last video that the negative impact that chronic stress can have on your body, and having a fear-based mindset about health can really contribute to that. Going a step further, let me give a more concrete example in this study that was done that talked about the impacts that your thoughts can have on how your body processes the meal. In this study, one group of participants were told they were going to have a 620 calorie indulgent shake, and another group was told that it was a 140 calorie sensible shake. In reality, both shakes were 380 calories. But when they looked at the results later and they measured these people's ghrelin levels, which is their hunger hormone that tells them to eat because they're hungry, looking at the group of participants that thought they were having the indulgent shake, they actually had a steeper decline in ghrelin levels, meaning that because they thought it was a really high calorie indulgent shake, their body actually told them they were full quicker than the other group of participants that had the sensible shake. They had a relatively flat and stable ghrelin level. What this study shows is that the satiety of the participants was consistent with what kind of shake they thought they were consuming versus the actual nutritional content. So don't underestimate the power of your mind, because it is really, really powerful and can even change how you process a meal. When you're stressed out and feel like you're eating something bad, you might feel worse after, not because of the food content itself, but because of what you're thinking about it. When you choose to let go and not worry about every single meal having to be completely healthy and balanced all the time, but rather focusing on maybe, okay, I'm going out to dinner with some friends, and focusing on the connection that you have with them, you can actually feel better even though the meal that you're eating maybe wasn't the healthiest. And that's okay. Also understanding that that's a meal you don't eat all the time, and you're doing it in moderation. This leads me to my next point, which is the placebo effect. Now, you may have heard of this effect because it's in a lot of studies. They have a placebo group where this group gets a sugar pill, but they don't know it. They think what they're taking is an actual pill for the ailment they are facing. And what's fascinating to note is that sometimes in these groups, people actually see improvements because they were thinking that they were taking an actual pill to help them with their issues. Even though the pill contained nothing but sugar, these people actually saw improvements because their mindset was that, oh, this is a real pill, this is going to help me, and they believed it. That is showing the reality of a placebo effect. Placebo effect essentially says that if you believe you're going to get better, you are more likely to experience positive outcomes regardless of any other variable. The most powerful predictor of a client's outcome is their mindset, attitude, and belief in relation to their goals. The clients that believe they can get better often do get better. The opposite of this effect is the nocebo effect. Got a pretty obvious name, right? Nocebo demonstrates that if you believe something is hurting you, you're more likely to experience a negative outcome because of it. So what are some takeaways so far from this video? Number one, less is more. You don't need a lineup of 50 supplements to take every single day or biohack routines that you need to get in before the sun is down to count yourself as being healthy for the day. What that is doing is just furthering you away from being healthy and contributing to a more stressful and toxic mindset. Instead, it's better to shift your focus and focus on the life that God has given you. And so this can look like noticing things like the connection that you have with people in your life, whether it's friends or family, and being grateful for the time spent together with them. Getting a good night of sleep, having some time to meditate and get some movement in, eating a really nutritious meal or being hydrated for the day, taking a walk out in the sunshine, listening to some good music, expressing yourself creatively. And lastly, I gotta talk about laughter because laughter is so beneficial for you. A deeper and louder laugh engages more muscle activity and requires deeper breaths, which leads to greater emotional release and a higher endorphin surge. Laughter is also super beneficial for your heart health because it helps to relax blood vessels, improves blood flow, and reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Laughter also boosts the immune system by increasing the amount of T cells and natural killer cells, NK cells, which play a critical role in fighting cancers and infections. And one study that looked at the relationship between laughter and the change in NK activity found that there was an increase of 50% in NK cells due to someone just laughing out loud. And then in your brain, laughter generates gamma brain waves, which produce a sense of feeling super alive. And then right after laughing, your brain generates alpha brain waves, which are known for a deeper sense of relaxation and a sense of well-being. Brain regions that are associated with social, cognition, and emotional regulation are activated by laughter and help create feelings of connection and joy. And then if you're also laughing with other people, mirror neurons can get activated in their brain and activate the same neural pathways as the person who first started laughing. And this helps to create an emotional bond from the shared experience. So laughter is definitely a really small but impactful thing that you can incorporate into your day. Speaking of focusing on the good in your life, I want to talk about glimmers. Glimmers are the opposite of triggers. They can be thought of as moments during the day where you feel happiness, peace, joy, or gratitude. Now, this does not come naturally. As humans, especially when we get stressed out, we are more prone to complain and focus on the negative things in life. So this is something that you will have to train your brain to do. Just like how you go to the gym and you train your muscles, your brain is also a muscle. You can train it to look for the good things in life and the small things. It doesn't have to be these crazy things like, oh, I got a job promotion. It's like, the sun came out today. That's a glimmer. Or I got to listen to the creek run and the sound of water was super relaxing to me. Or I got to pet a dog today. Like literally anything can be a glimmer. And once you start to notice glimmers, you'll begin to see more and more of them. This is kind of like the red car theory, where if you think of a red car, you're more likely to see more of them. And this is not because suddenly there's 50 more red cars on the highway, but this is because your brain is actively searching for them, and so you will spot more of them. So if your brain is actively searching for small moments of happiness throughout the day, you will begin to see more small moments throughout your day that make you happy. And so it's just a snowball effect in a really good way of finding things that can bring you gratitude and help you create a better mindset as well. And this theory proves an important point that your brain focuses on what you think about, so make it something good. Something else you can turn your attention to is things that you can control. I know in this world there are a lot of things that we cannot control, and that can make us feel very overwhelmed and bitter and maybe angry or upset, but finding the things that you can control is going to be really impactful. So number one would be, of course, your mindset and your perspective. You can choose what your mindset is going to be. Yes, it might be a little bit more work, especially if you're coming from a really ingrained negative mindset, but You can still choose to change it. What you say yes to, what you direct your attention towards, which goals you invest in, how you talk to yourself, how you treat others, who you surround yourself with, how you take care of your mind and body, and how often you appreciate what already is in your life. Now that we've touched on what a toxic mindset can look like, I want to focus more on what a healthier mindset looks like. First up, I don't want you to think that you have to become some great optimist and just minimize the struggles you're going with and slap some positivity on it and call it a day. That is not what I'm saying. That's not realistic, and you're going to abandon that line of thinking pretty quickly because your brain is going to see right through it. As Dr. Josh Axe puts it, a mindset of positive perseverance is not about masking reality with toxic positivity, but zeroing in with intention and precision on what is virtuous, carries meaning, and has eternal significance. I think that definitely carries more weight, and your brain can get behind that more because it means more and it's not fake. You also have to remember that you have a choice in who you become. Every day we make decisions, little ones and big ones, and it's often the little ones because we make them more that have a bigger impact on our life. As the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, day by day, what you choose, what you think, and what you do is who you become. If you're struggling with your health and you want to see results, it's not enough to just think positively and think that that will cure everything and you'll be a healthier person. The best thing you can do is to act like the person that you want to become. Sounds really groundbreaking, I know, but just pause and think about that. If I wanted to be someone who has bigger muscles, I need to think like someone who has bigger muscles. What would they do? How would they talk to themselves? Well, they would probably be in the gym consistently throughout the week and lifting weights and consistently putting their time and energy towards that. And once those weights begin to become too easy, they can increase their weights. They would be focusing on eating a lot of protein in their diet, especially post-workout, to really help aid their muscles in recovery. They would talk to themselves and remind them of the goals that they set and that they want to do it for longevity purposes. They would encourage themselves in being consistent and being disciplined to do the work, and remind themselves how good they feel during and after a workout too, to keep going. They would also remind themselves that they're striving for consistency, not perfection, and to give themselves ample time to rest, understanding that that is just as important as the workout itself. Which leads me to my last point, consistency. Consistency is what matters more than perfection. Because we are not perfect human beings, we cannot think that we are going to be perfect at anything in this life. There will be meals that we don't eat the healthiest, days we don't get a workout in, times we don't get outside as often as we wish we did. But instead of getting down about that or beating yourself up, remind yourself that what matters most is that you're being consistent. Because being consistent will turn that into a habit, and that should keep you disciplined and locked in on your long-term goal. Which, side note, reaching health goals takes time. So don't be discouraged when you are only implementing a habit for a few days and you don't start seeing any results. It is not like what you see on Instagram with the before and after pictures. There is so much time and hard work and setbacks that that person experienced to get to where they are. There's a great quote that says, "The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit." It takes so much time for that seed to grow into a plant and then to actually bear fruit. And it's the same with our bodies. It's going to take time to build up habits and resilience and consistency to be able to see the results we want to, whether that's losing weight or gaining muscle or getting clearer skin, whatever it is, it's going to take time, and realizing that is going to help you really be okay with the days where maybe you don't see much result, and just knowing like, okay, if I stick to this, I will see results. So the next time that you're tempted to give into a fear-based mindset, remember that you have a choice and you can choose to see your health as a gift and a blessing, and realize that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to try your best and leave the rest to God. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, here are some great books that I would recommend. Okay, first up we have How People Change by Paul David Tripp and Timothy S. Lane. I'm actually going through this right now in a book club that I'm in, so I'm only halfway through, but let me tell you, it is very convicting and very helpful. Like, he has a really good picture in here that just kind of talks about how to approach life and how our thought patterns can kind of trip us up, and it's going to be going through what entangles you and how to really change your thinking life. Next up, this is more of a funny one, but it is still has a lot of good truth nuggets in it. This is You Can't Do It by Marcus Johns. I don't know if any of you guys remember the good old days of Vine, but he was a really famous Viner, and he wrote a book and just talked about different stories throughout his life, times he failed, and different mindset takeaways that he got from it. And so I would really recommend it if you just want kind of a lighthearted read, but still some good ideas to gain from it. Next, we have the Metanoia method. As you can see, I have a lot of sticky notes in here. This is how the brain, body, and Bible work together. This is by Kent McKean and Heather McKean. They are a husband and wife duo that have a lot of good ideas. I take some stuff with a grain of salt, but overall I like it because there's a lot of, at the end, different lists you can make and something called a Metanoia GPS that you can kind of use to navigate your own life and different things that you're struggling with and ways to work through them. And they really talk about the Romans passage where Paul is talking about renewing your mind and being transformed by it. And so I think that's a really beneficial one to look through. And then last but not least, we have Think This, Not That by Dr. Josh Axe, which is where I got that quote from. So it's 12 mind shifts to break through limiting beliefs and become who you were born to be. So this one's really great. He has a lot of different resources in here, especially at the end of a chapter. He has QR codes that you can go and you can get more resources to really further implement that mindset that he was just talking about into your life, which I think is perfect because it's so easy to read a book and just not implement it at all. And so he makes it very easy to do that. So I would highly recommend any of those books. And if you do end up reading them, you'll definitely have to let me know. If you feel like this pillar is something that you really want some help with, I would be more than happy to be a person to encourage you and just help you think through what your goals are and how you want to maybe change your mindset or different points that are kind of tripping you up. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can sign up for a free discovery call with me. We can discuss your health goals. We can discuss how I would help you with that. And you can decide if you would want to work with me for 1, 3, or 6 months. Totally up to you. But that's all for now. So thank you so much for sticking around and join me next time as I talk about how faith and health can go together. See you next time. Bye.